The House will come to order. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Madam Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments and concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File Number 861, an act relating to transportation. The message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Hansen moves that Rule 1.15, paragraph C, relating to disposition of Senate files be suspended for the purpose of taking the message from the Senate relating to House File Number 861.
Representative Hansen, to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, that is my motion to suspend the rules. The Senate placed their language on to House File 861, and we would like to move the bill.
Representative Hansen moves that Rule 1.15 be suspended for the purpose of taking up the message from the Senate related to House File 861. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails.
Hansen moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments, the House File Number 861, and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
Representative Hansen, to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Yes, that is my motion. I move that the House concur to the Senate amendments to House File 861, and the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
Discussion. The member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Hansen, I don't have the language of the bill in front of me yet, but I understand there are a number of changes. Could you start first with all the items that the Senate has added to the bill and explain
Members,
them?
the bill is being passed out right now, but Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Torkelson, what you will be receiving is Senate File 109, what we labeled as Senate File 1092. And I'm going to go through, it's essentially a replacement language that Section 1, the deficiency funding for MNLARS and the driver's license system, there's $11.2 million, again, in this fiscal year from the general fund to the Commissioner of Public Safety for continued development and improvement of the MNLARS and driver's licenses system. That is similar but not the same to what we had passed. Of this amount, and this is the same language, $5.5 million for phase 2 of the driver's license development, implementation, and contracting staff and technology costs. So that 5.5 for the driver's system, that is similar to what we had passed. And then 5.7 is for MNLARS development technology costs contracts. This is a one-time appropriation and available until June 30th, 2020. And the one difference is that there is a rider that this appropriation must not be used for a public information center or for other similar custom service functions. Now that may seem a little bit odd, but then when you look at the next component under Section 2, there's $2 million from the general fund to the Commissioner of Public Safety for a temporary increase in the capacity of driver and vehicle services. So I believe what the Senate was concerned about was permanent staffing, and that $2 million is for temporary staffing. And that is a one-time appropriation and is available until June 30th, 2019. So $2 million until the end of this fiscal year. In terms of our bill, it had several accountability provisions. The Senate does not have those. It has some different accountability provisions. Section 3 is quarterly progress reports. As required by last year's law, it references those. It has an independent expert review of MNLARS with and an appropriation. So I don't know, Representative Torkelson, if you've got the bill in front of you, I can walk through it a little bit. It references the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology, and that says by May 1st, 2019, the chair must render an independent expert's opinion whether DPS and MNIT have the necessary technology, software, staffing, etc., that do not require major architectural changes to MNLARS by the end of the calendar year. So there are various subparts to that, again, on deliverables, meeting project deliverables, within funding, so it references kind of the future funding proposed in the governor's budget, a detailed report on findings, provide a report to the chairs and ranking minority members of the House of Representatives and Senate committees with jurisdiction over transportation, finance, and policy. I would note that does not say environment. It's transportation, finance, and policy. And this report must be provided to the legislative auditor, and then there's an appropriation to the legislative auditor. And again, an effective date following final enactment on the accountability provisions. The pieces that are missing are the deputy registrars.
Representative Torkelson.
Thank you. We'll get to the missing stuff in a minute or more, Representative Hansen. First, can you tell me who the chair of the Blue Ribbon Council is?
Representative Hansen will yield. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and Representative Torkelson, I cannot.
Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, then, could you tell me who the members are of the Blue Ribbon Council?
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In serving the legislative branch, Representative Torkelson, I cannot.
Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Hansen. Well, quite a bit of this work depends on this Blue Ribbon Council to evaluate this program, and yet it hasn't even been appointed. Doesn't have members, doesn't have a chairperson, yet with these changes that have been sent to us from the Senate, we're depending heavily on them, the way it looks to me, to have a report to us by May 1st of this year. That's pretty short order. I'm not sure that I've had time to really digest the rest of these many items here regarding accountability. I wish we had had a chance to hear this in committee, Madam Speaker, but we didn't. Let's then go to some of the money items here, Representative Hansen. First, in Section 1, Line A, it looks to me like we've cut that by a little over $1 million. Can you tell me what they're not going to do now that they're missing that $1 million+ dollars?
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Torkelson. It's my understanding that they found some efficiencies.
Representative Torkelson. Some
efficiency. Well, that's very interesting, Representative Hansen. So if this was your bill, you had the $12.268 million. I assume you know exactly what that was going to be spent for. Can you tell me just what efficiencies they'd found?
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Torkelson. I was not over in the Senate where this was debated. I know this is the number that they provided. I think what I heard, and again, that's hearing, was that they found some efficiencies. So I cannot answer you any more specific than that.
Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, I see. Well, my understanding is that much of these details were negotiated between the Senate and the governor's office. Has the governor's office filled you in on the details? Or maybe you were in the room, I don't know, for those negotiations. I would think that the important players would be there. Were you in the room, or have you been briefed by the governor's office on exactly how this deal was struck? Representative Hansen.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Torkelson. No, and no.
Representative Torkelson.
My goodness, it seems like we're voting on a lot of changes that we know really very little about here, Representative Hansen. Let's get to the real meat of this, though. How much money is in this bill for the deputy registrars?
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Torkelson, 0.
Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Representative Hansen. Madam Speaker, frankly, this is quite alarming. You know, we've been working on this issue for nearly 2 years, really over 2 years if you include the time before the rollout of MNLARS. I did spend quite a bit of time down at DVS observing their work and being assured by them that this fine program was going to work when it was rolled out in July of 2017. Of course, we know that it didn't work very well. And we know that this assistance for the deputy registrars is actually long overdue. And I assume you probably agree with that, Representative Hansen, since you had it in your bill prior to it returning to us from the Senate. We passed funds last year. We passed $9 million in a standalone bill, one of those bills that we were requested to do. Don't put so much in a bill, just put one item in there. So we put one item in there and we sent it to the governor, passed both houses, $9 million for deputy registrars, and the governor vetoed it. Well, we thought that was kind of a bad idea, so we tried to override the veto, but everyone on your side decided that overriding the veto and funding the deputy registrars was a really bad idea, apparently, so you denied that. Then we put some money for the deputy registrars in the supplemental budget bill, and of course that bill was too big. I keep hearing about all the good things that were in it from various perspectives, and I hear very little about bad things, but in spite of that, it was too big, so that had to die too. And along with it died relief for the deputy registrars. These folks have suffered greatly. You know, the state of Minnesota told them they were going to build a new program that would make their life better. And it's done only the exact opposite. They've had to spend more time and more money, and they've been unable to help the folks that they are supposed to help, that they want to help, that they spent hours trying to help, but yet couldn't help because the administration of this state of Minnesota supplied a program that was not working, even though they told us it would be working. And it's been 1.5 years and it's still not working. Not only do they have to spend extra time with every customer, and by the way, that extra time they need to spend was built into the program. The department decided it'd be better if we did more work at the desk, so we'd have to do a little less work at the state. So they loaded this program in a way that required the deputy registrars to do extra work on every transaction at the desk. Now you'd think they would compensate them somehow for that, but they didn't. Not only that, there are many transactions that just plain don't work. So not only do they have to say no for a number of transactions, they also have a lot of people that have to come back. They go in, they try to get their tabs, they try to get a license plate, they can't get it, so they get a 60-day permit. They still don't get what they need in 60 days, so they have to go back in and get another 60-day permit. And what revenue do the deputy registrars get for that second visit? Zero, nothing. They have to take, they do, and they will take care of the citizens of this state, but they're getting no return for many of those extra visits. You know, just imagine being one of these deputy registrars, standing at that desk every day with a long line of people who need service, and you can't help them, not through any fault of your own, but because the administration of the state of Minnesota couldn't design a program that would do even as well as the old program did that we thought was so bad that we had to replace it. You know, this is so bad, Madam Chair, that I'm going to make a motion that we not concur with the Senate, and I would like a roll call on that vote, Madam Chair.
Representative Torkelson moves that we refuse to concur and requests a roll call. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call.
A vote in favor of this motion not to concur with the Senate will send a strong and clear message that we understand the hardships caused by the administration of this program, the development that was inadequate, and we are willing to put some compensation on the table for our deputy registrars that have suffered for almost 2 years, losing money, taking money out of their savings accounts, paying overtime. I just don't understand this. I don't understand why we would vote for this when it doesn't contain the most important item that was in the bill when it left the House floor. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Torkelson moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendments in House File 861, that the Speaker appoint a conference committee, and that the House requests a like committee be appointed by the Senate to confer on the disagreeing votes of the two houses. How many conferees would you like, Representative Torkelson? Representative Torkelson requests the Speaker appoint a conference committee of 5 members of the House. Further discussion on the motion to refuse to concur. The member from Waseca, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise to support this motion as well, not to concur. This really is an egregious, I think, bad direction that we're going, not representing the needs of the deputy registers. And I want to talk about more than just the independent deputy registers out there that are using their own funds, but also the county-wide deputy registers that are having to use up more of their property taxes and other revenue sources going towards deputy registrars that aren't going to the programs out to what they really wanted to do. That means now that we're in the second year, they've had to increase their levies, meaning taxpayers out there are paying more in order to accomplish this as well. So for those of you that have county-wide deputy registers, understand that this really is impacting your constituents out there, that it's impacting your counties and what they can provide. And those that have private deputy registers, understand that they are taking on the chin. Some of them may indeed close because they can't afford to keep going with the debt. We're hearing that people are actually taking second mortgages on their house in order to stay in business. And what do we do in return? Here we are going to hold the agencies, the government entities that are creating the problem. We're going to keep them whole. We're going to provide them with all the funding that they need in order to stay in business. And yet now for almost 2 years, we're going to have asked the deputy registers to keep paying the bill for all the extra work and the amount of inefficiencies and just incompetencies that are really here at the department and DVS. So I really don't understand how we can consciously really continue to do that. I mean, don't we owe them something, the deputy registers? Don't we owe them something that because they're doing the gritty work, the down at the base level, the work that's necessary, and they're not being compensated yet? They're the ones that are taking all of the disgruntled people out there that aren't getting their driver's license, their license tabs. They're not getting the license plates. They're taking all of that negative comments from the people out there, and we're not giving them anything in return. So please vote for this motion not to concur. Let's send it back and let's get some money for the deputy registers. We know that there are going to be other bills in the forward, but at least give them something so that they know that we're thinking of them. So please support Representative Torkelson's motion.
The member from Candy, Ojai, Representative Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I just wanted to, again, concur that this motion to not concur is something I totally believe in. I've been very involved with this issue since July of 2017, and about the 2 days after this was launched, we knew this was going to be a disaster in the making. I've had many hearings when I was chair of a select committee on technology and customer service aspects, and I will tell you this, that deputy registers were in tears. Dealers were in tears because of the mess that was created by both our agencies, and who the OLA confirmed just recently, there was nobody in charge of this thing. There was not one leader that took charge of this. This was a leadership failure. And the first thing we pass out of this body is money to help keep this thing on life support so that it doesn't work any better. And I have been with Representative Hornstein, and I've been with Representative Torkelson at meetings with the governor the last few weeks. And what was interesting out of this conversation was, I will be honest with you, I think Governor Walz really wants to fix this problem. He came in with his head coach rah-rah thing, and I was inspired. I wanted to be moved by this. But the whole time, we said we have got to take care of the deputy registers right away. Right away. We kept saying it over and over and over again. And I will tell you, members, I thought I was heard. I thought we were heard, because everybody in that room knew how hard they have been hit with this. If we pass this, members, without any money with deputy registers, without any improvements to their system now, it is another slap in the face to the 174 offices around the state of Minnesota, half are which are owned privately, half are which are run and operated by our state agencies or state counties or cities. And this is a real problem. What I shared with the governor as well during these meetings was the idea of, before MNLARS, we were on a 21-day turnaround if you were to get a license. If you were to turn around a title, that was about 30 days. And what they wanted to do was, and now today, getting a driver's license turned around is at 60 to 90 days. Some are closer to 120 days. Titles are longer yet. And the governor's goal was, along with his commissioners, hey, let's get it back to where it was at 21 days before MNLARS became a thing. Well, that sure is smart. Let's spend $110 million to get back to what we were at the beginning. This makes no sense, members. So to the folks that are new here, I get you're going to want to vote with the members that tell you how to vote and how you think you should, because if you ask your deputy registers, they will tell you, please support us. This is a bill that should have come over here with deputy register money. And if it doesn't, we should say, no, this is not the right bill for these hardworking people in our communities that have taken a beating since July 2017. So again, I encourage members to vote red on this. Let's get it right to make sure that we send the message. MNLARS should be the Cadillac for what we've spent for this project. A person should walk into a deputy registrar's office and get a driver's license when you walk out the door. I can walk into some Costco's and Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and I get a card right there. Why can't we do that in the state of Minnesota? I am just sickened by the fact that we keep giving more money, emergency money, deficiency money, when we are sucking it into a program that nobody really gets yet. Nobody here thinks MNLARS is the perfect answer. But this is something that we really have to focus on and remember our deputy registers. This was a mistake, and I just hope that members, let's do the right thing and get those folks money now. We can't wait any longer. They are borrowing money from their savings, from their retirements, these folks that are keeping the offices open. I completely want to vote a no on the concurring with the Senate. So members, please vote red on this. Thank you.
The member from Stearns, Representative O'Driscoll.
Madam Speaker, I have a parliamentary inquiry question, and then I have a statement I'd like to make.
State your parliamentary inquiry.
Could you remind the body on how a motion to not concur red and green votes, please, for members?
Representative O'Driscoll, a green vote would refuse to concur with the Senate. A red vote would be a vote in favor of concurring with the Senate. Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, I am just really amazed that we have this MNLARS bill coming back tonight from the Senate, and there's no money in it for the deputy registrars. 2 years we've been working since the rollout to try to get this right. I want to thank the deputy registrars tonight for being our customer service and problem solvers for the state of Minnesota. When folks come in and they want to renew a title, they want to take care of some things, take care of business, and they are charged by the state of Minnesota with our MNLARS system of not being able to provide customer service. I don't believe they called the folks at Minute and said, hey, You folks are the ones that we need some help on. I don't think the customer called them. I think the people who took it straight on were the deputy registrars, the people we contract with in the state of Minnesota to deliver these services, so that people can keep their vehicles on the road, transfer title, buy a vehicle, and just be left alone. And how do we thank these people? Go take a mortgage on your house, because if you're losing money and you have to see people multiple times, yeah, that's okay. Just go take another mortgage on your home. Oh, well, take some savings out of there. Or if you own the business, if you own that deputy registrar location, well, just don't pay yourself. You know, members, about a month ago in the Commerce Committee, we heard bills from folks who were concerned about the federal government shutdown and how that might affect folks here in the state of Minnesota. And we had a long line of people that came in and they were telling us how about a 30-day shutdown, how it affected them. Can you imagine what a 2-year shutdown and your ability to be able to do your business? How would that affect you? I see no bills being introduced. I see no discussion other than, as some people like to call it around here, kicking the can down the road. Deputy registrars, thank you. Thank you for being our voice. Thank you for being our customer service people. I will continue to work on your behalf to get the money that you are rightfully owed by the state of Minnesota for doing the job that we hired you to do. That maybe tonight we will vote to not concur, send it back, and do the right thing. Folks, how you vote on this tonight is you telling the folks who are deputy registrars, who provide your constituents with the ability to be able to renew their licenses, transfer title, buy a vehicle, whatever the case may be. Minnesota will be watching how you treat other Minnesotans tonight. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, members, we're at a crossroads here from my perspective. I voted for this bill coming off the House floor last week for one reason and one reason only, and that's because it had money in it for the deputy registrars. There's a lot of folks in this chamber that live in small towns in Minnesota, and they are living in sparsely populated counties that depend heavily on their deputy registrars. There are a lot of people who choose not to, for various reasons, go online and get their tabs and do all that sort of stuff. I don't know how many of you know your deputy registrars personally. I do. And you folks are going to own this tonight. This is an egregious thing that's going on here. $10 million is something that should be in this bill, and probably even more. And when I hear some of the comments and so forth that go along with this conversation, it really saddens me that there is very little realization and very little recognition of what actually goes on in the Deputy Registrar's office in rural Minnesota. I don't mean to be harsh when I say this, but there's not very many people from the other side of the aisle that live in a small town. I do, and a lot of my members do. And we rely on our deputy registrars. They are family-owned business in many cases, or they're businesses that are being run by their counties, and they're being subsidized heavily by the counties right now, not because of anything that they did, but because of something that the government did to them. I read a couple of weeks ago a column that was MinPost. You can look it up. Somebody named Sue Rohde, who is supposedly an expert in all this stuff. Don't have any idea who the person is. But one of the things that she wrote in her op-ed was that the, quote, deputy registrars barely prepared for the MNLARS launch, perhaps because they simply did not want this to happen, and in many cases feared losing a lucrative business. Well, if you've ever been to Roseau, you know that's not a lucrative business, members. This is unconscionable what's going on here. No, this stuff just smacks of elitist bureaucrats. I don't know how many of you know Jody Ziska at the License Bureau in Roseau. I do. She works doggone hard. Her daughter had to take over the business when she slipped and fell recently and broke her femur. It's a small town operation. These people deserve to have something in this bill. This is offensive to me. You can do better than this. The legislature can and should do better than this. I heard the governor speak a few weeks ago about the new rollout. I don't even know what number it was, and about how it was going to make things easier. How do you folks walk into your deputy registrar's offices? You know how I do it? Facetiously, I walk in like this, and I kind of push the door open. I know Jody, I've known her for 35 years, and I feel bad for their family and what they're going through, and what the state government has done to them. Well, I heard the governor say on the radio that if this doesn't work, it's on me. Well, it probably fixed one or two things, but it made something else almost impossible. This is a mess. And not because of anything that the deputy registrars did, or not because they refused to take some training, as some elitist bureaucrat wants to suggest. Come on. These are human beings back home. They deserve our support. We can do better. Madam Speaker, I apologize for being a little cranky. So it means a lot to me. So with that, I support the Torkelson motion. Thank you.
The member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, think back to this moment. We is the collective term. We, it's the will of this body. You're going to hear this all session, if you're a new member, about the disparities between the two bodies. This needs to come off the House floor as a we, as this body. We are giving the deputy registrars the short end of the stick. We voted off this House floor overwhelmingly to fund for them. And in the dark of the night, a deal was negotiated where Representative Hansen wasn't even at the table. A small group of people got together, all those things you campaigned against. And here you are about to press the button that the party bosses are telling you to push when the will of the body is important. We have deputy registrars. We, not one side, not the other side. We have people hurting. We voted off this House floor. Don't be led down a plank just because a couple people were in a back room, not smoke-filled anymore because we don't do that. We have the Clean Indoor Act. But a small group of people are walking you down the plank. In the dark of the night, Representative Hansen wasn't even there. That's not how we do things. Again, I said it earlier, it's convenient to the legislators here. That's not transparent for the public, it's not good for the public, and it's not what we do. We should not get rolled by the Senate this early in the session. We should not get rolled by the Senate ever. Members, vote for this.
The member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Oofta. Oofta, Chris. That's the words that were uttered to me last time I went into the deputies' registers to register a new trailer that I'd gotten done building. These folks are on the front lines of the MNLARS flop. They're the ones that are taking the frustration from the people that you and I, Republicans and Democrats and independents, represent. Folks, this is just a nice, clean way to bring the Senate and the House together with 10 members of an appointed conference committee, folks, that will iron these issues out for us, folks. And I just want you to, this is an easy one. This is a slam dunk. These folks deserve the dollars, and I just want you all to vote with Torkelson. Vote with Torkelson. Thank you.
The member from Dakota, Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Hansen, I was just kind of looking at this for the first time. can you clarify on line 3.18 the $100,000 appropriation for fiscal 2019? Speak to that a little bit, please.
Representative Koznick requests Representative Hansen to yield. He will yield. Representative Koznick.
Representative Hansen, and my apologies, Madam Speaker. I was wondering if you could expound a little bit on line 3.18, the $100,000 appropriated from the general fund, to discuss that.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and Representative Koznick. On line 3.18, I believe that 100,000 goes back to the appropriation under Section 4, the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology. So those dollars are for the operations of that Blue Ribbon Council, to my reading of that, because you've got, this is under that Section 4. It references the Governor's Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology. It empowers the chair to do the tasks. So the chair is having an independent expert's opinion, and my understanding of that appropriation is for those tasks.
Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And if Representative Hansen would continue to yield, I'm curious if the governor had requested that $100,000. And the point being, Representative Hansen and members, is we've already spent well over $100,000 or $100 million trying to build out this system that we still continue to have problems. And so now we're being asked to spend $100,000 just to have a red ribbon committee that's just coming out to us. So we're not really sure. So did the governor ask for that $100,000?
Blue ribbon, I think. But
Blue ribbon.
He will yield. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Representative Koznick, I do not know the answer to your question, but I want to make sure that people do know that that appropriation to compensate the chair is not the chair of the Legislative Audit Commission.
Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I guess that's a thing that I have a problem with. We already spent so much money on the system, and now we're being asked to spend another $100,000, which maybe in the scheme of the budget around here doesn't seem like a lot of money. But to the folks back home, that's a lot of money to be looking at a system that we've already should have had figured out $100 million later. So whether it's a red committee, a blue committee, or a purple committee, I don't know how we can concur when we're not even sure if the governor has this, and it's just wasteful. I think the other members that have spoken and members across the aisle, I would encourage you to have not concur and have the House and the Senate come together and iron out a bill that we can all live with and support at the end. So I encourage you to vote green and not concur.
The member from Fillmore, Representative Davids.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I hope every member on this House floor will support the Torkelson Amendment. Last week we passed a bill for boat insurance that doesn't work. Probably the most pathetic, awful bill I've ever seen. But I didn't get too excited about it because it's not going to become law. Members, if we don't support the Torkelson Amendment or motion right now, this bill becomes law. Now, I should be overjoyed that the Senate rolled the House. I should just be pleased as punch. But I'm not. As a member of this House, over the years, it's been my job to roll the Senate, and I am a master at it, and we have always done it. Now we have just the opposite. The House is in such an awful position here, I can't believe it. Send this bill to conference committee. I don't know where the House was on this. Where was the House? No transparency, no House positions. There's nothing here. We got rolled. And for one member of 27 years, I don't like that. Now, on future bills coming up, I hope they roll the heck out of us. But this is the one that affects a lot of people that I know. In fact, my insurance office is in the same building as the deputy registrar, who's also the mayor of the town. I went to and pleaded mercy. I said, please don't kick me out of the office. You should, for what we have done to you. And now we have a bill with nothing in for the deputy registrars. That's unconscionable. The House got rolled. Support the Torkelson motion. I don't know, I'm all into smoke-filled rooms in the dead of night with a bunch of high-priced lobbyists. I'm one of the best. But members, what happened here? We lost big time. Vote for the Torkelson motion, put me on the conference committee, and there'll be a really, really good bill coming back. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion to the Torkelson motion? Representative Torkelson. Oh, I'm sorry. Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I did ask for a roll call, I believe. I just wanted to make sure that that's...
You did, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
And I think there was even 15 hands, so we have a roll call.
Thank you. Well, that's good to know. Many of my best lines have been stolen by my colleagues. I wanted to talk about the dark at night and other things like that, but I'll let that go. Bottom line here, members, is we have a chance to send this to conference committee, try and do the right thing, and that's what we should do. Members, please vote green.
The clerk will take the roll on the Torkelson motion. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 51 ayes and 70 nays, the motion to refuse to concur did not prevail. We are back on the Hansen motion to concur. Discussion. The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, members, I appreciate the conversation tonight, and I think we all recognize that this is not the end of that conversation about deputy registrars this session. The bill that left the House had a June 30 date, which means that there would be no money flowing until after a session was closed for the deputy registrars. There is ample opportunity for us to address that issue this year. For now, we need to keep MNLARS functioning. We don't have to like it. In fact, we can actively dislike it. But if we don't keep that system functioning and try to get to a better place with it under a new administration with more bipartisan involvement and openness, we are going to be in a much worse situation for the deputy registrars and for all Minnesotans. So we don't have to like it. I don't expect anybody to feel particularly excited about this green vote. But we do have an opportunity during the rest of this session, members, to address the deputy registrars. And I hope that you bring the same spirit of dedication to that cause as we consider our budget bills going forward. So, members, I would ask you to vote yes on the Hansen motion. We can keep the system functioning. We can keep the deputy registrars going. We can make them whole yet this session, and we can do so within the same time limits that we would have done under the bill that left the House originally. And so, members, please vote green.
Discussion. Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, I apologize for speaking after my majority leader. But number one, I would like a roll call. And I'd like to just make one further.
Representative Torkelson requests a roll call. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call. Representative Torkelson.
I'd just make one other comment. This June 30th date has come up in conversation. It seems like we could change virtually every aspect of this bill, but we couldn't figure out how to change a date. That's really powerful negotiating.
Any further discussion on the motion to concur? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the motion to concur. The clerk will close the roll. There being 71 ayes and 51 nays, the motion to concur prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 861, as amended by the Senate.
On passage, discussion. Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I think virtually everything that could be said has been said about this bill, but it hasn't. We made no progress. We've made no improvement. It's just amazingly disappointing that this could go on this long and that we could do nothing for these deputy registrars. I've talked to many of them personally. I'm going to tell you a little personal story of my own. It's a little bit embarrassing because a year ago in January, my wife and I were going to travel overseas, and I discovered that my passport had expired. Not by very long, but it had expired. And I was panicked. Didn't know what to do. We had our tickets booked, and we were ready to go, and I didn't have a passport. But Madam Speaker and members, the federal government, who I sometimes think is not very competent, but the federal government had a brand new passport in my hand in less than 24 hours. Amazing, absolutely amazing that a government agency can actually function and function efficiently. Apparently, they have better software writers than we can find in the state of Minnesota. We can't get a driver's license in Minnesota for under, I don't know, 30, 60, 120 days, whatever it is right now, because we can't get it processed. But yet the federal government could process a brand new passport in less than 24 hours and even got the right picture on it. It was amazing. Madam Speaker and members, we shouldn't be passing this bill in the shape it's in. It does a disservice to these folks. I look forward to the day when we can actually do the right thing. I hope it's coming very soon.
Further discussion. The member from Dakota, the author of the bill, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Voting yes for this bill will provide dollars to MNLARS to continue that implementation. What does this do for the deputy registrars? It's going to provide a customer service center, $2 million right away to answer questions and to try to make things work better. It's going to provide $11.2 million to continue that effort to make things work better. It's going to provide $5.5 million to the driver's license system to continue to work on making real ID work better. Is this the end? No. But it is a strong effort. We are in the exact same place we were a year ago, where we have contractors that by midnight tomorrow, that work stops. And when that work stops, we don't make progress. We know from our experience last year that when that work stopped, we had to hire new people and had to start over again with folks. And that delayed and caused more problems. So I ask you to vote yes to continue the problem solving, continue working on making progress, and to work for a better Minnesota.
The clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 71 ayes and 50 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that House File 80 be taken from the table.
Representative Winkler moves that House File 80 be taken from the table. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill.
No, this is on the bill.
Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 105 ayes and 16 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Announcements. Representative Carlson.
Madam Speaker, if members could pay close attention, because I announced this morning that with the Ways and Means Committee meeting that we would potentially have a room change, and we do. We're going to be meeting at 5 o'clock in room 200 of the State Office building. That's the Ways and Means Committee. And we have two bills that are up for us, the opioid bill and the driver's license bill.
Announcements. The member from Chisago, Representative New.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would Majority Leader Winkler yield for a question?
He will yield. Representative New.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I understand that the governor's budget bills need to be in your possession by Wednesday, March 6th, and I'm just wondering if you can let us know which of those bills you currently have.
Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, Representative New, I cannot let you know that because I do not know.
Representative New.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Announcements. The member from Ramsey, Representative Kunesh Padin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I would like to make you all aware that, that Governor Walz has proclaimed March Multiple Myeloma Action Month. Multiple myeloma is a blood cancer causing a variety of adverse health effects, including a weakened immune system, anemia, kidney damage, and bone deterioration, and most myeloma patients are unaware of this disease until they are diagnosed. Myeloma healthcare professionals, patient advocates, and caregivers joined together during the month of March, taking action to empower patients and arm them with knowledge. These patients are called myeloma warriors, and they are seeking the best care and treatment for themselves while also helping others. Earlier this evening, we had a balcony full of these folks. They weren't able to wait around until we were done, but they were here to hear this proclamation, and I hope they'll be able to see it on the TV right now. So members, please acknowledge our myeloma warriors. They were representing 6 support groups across the state: Twin Cities, Stillwater, 2 in Rochester, Fairmont, and Central Minnesota, Wilmer. My friend Vicki, my own myeloma warrior. Thank you, members.
Any further announcements? Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 3:30 p.m. Thursday, March 7th, 2019.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn until 3:30 p.m. Thursday, March 7th, 2019. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until 3:30 p.m. Thursday, March 7th, 2019.